Welcome to Comic Power. I am your host, Comic Killer 72. Welcome to Wicked Wednesday, where we discuss all the new comics that's coming out this week. Every Wednesday is like Christmas for us nerds because that's when the new comics come out. These are my recommendations for the best books to pick up on Wednesday. But here's some other information first. Here's another reminder that I do sell on eBay. I don't just talk about comics, but I sell them. This is my eBay page. I have a holiday sale with prices 10 to 40% off, and it goes through December 20th. See the links in the description. I have a video for the top 10 comics of 2017, which is going to drop real soon. So be looking out for that as well. But for now, we're going to talk about New Comic Day. That's what you came here for. And DC Comics has given us Action Comics number 993. This is part 1 of Booster Shot, where Booster Gold shows up. Here's what the cover B looks like. There was talk about a Booster Gold television show, but we have no idea what's going on with DC right now in the movies and television. They seem to be in disarray and just have no idea what they want to do going forward. Next up is the DC Universe by John Byrne on trade paperback. John is partly responsible for the massive popularity in the X-Men as the primary artist when they introduced the Dark Phoenix and so many other cool things. But he also did some strong work for DC, which is going to be displayed here. He had a run on literally every DC hero that you can see here and more. Next up is The Flash, issue number 36, and this is part 1 of a Cold Day in Hell storyline. The Flash is one of the most consistent books out there. This cover B variant looks outstanding. The Flash comes out every 2 weeks and it's worth your $3. Next up is Mr. Miracle, number 5 of a 12-part miniseries. He's been condemned to death, so he goes out on a date with Big Barda. Big Barda is a real cult favorite. She's part of the New Gods universe that was created by Jack Kirby when he came over to DC in 1970. Here's the original design of the character, and when you cosplay her, the wearer is going to demand attention, as you can see here. This cover B variant is also very well done. Tom King, the writer of Batman, is also writing this. He's a tremendous up-and-coming writer. Next up is Wonder Woman number 36, and this is part 4 of the Children of Gods. This cover harkens back to the early days of Wonder Woman, where she had some not-so-subtle bondage themes in it. How did they ever get away with this for kids' comics back then? The Comics Code was created in 1954, and stuff like this was not seen again for a very long time. In this storyline, she's captured by Grail, who's the daughter of Darkseid, but it only gets better, folks, because the Jenny Frison variants are back. She's been really tearing it up. I've been talking about these, and Jenny is an artist all year. She's made my list of one of the top 10 female artists in comics. She made a name for herself 5 years ago when she drew this awesome cover for Revival number 1. The way she depicts Princess Diana is strong, powerful, sexy, feminine, and regal. I absolutely love it. Next up, let's see what Marvel is up to. And as you have probably heard by now, Disney is in negotiations for buying out Fox. Disney is the parent company of Marvel, so that means that Marvel could get back the X-Men universe, the Fantastic Four universe, which means they would get back Doctor Doom, the Silver Surfer, Galactus. I mean, seriously, a Galactus trilogy with the Fantastic Four with the Rise of the Silver Surfer done correctly. This stuff is impossibly crazy to think about. Wolverine fighting the Hulk. Come on. A better Rogue than Anna Paquin, I love you. But seriously, Rogue was supposed to be kicking ass and looking like this. Not that wimpy Rogue y'all gave us. And of course, the Avengers fighting the X-Men and all types of... But I don't even know where to go. Let's get back on to New Comic Day. And that's going to be Amazing Spider-Man number 792. This is part 2 of Venom Incorporated. Spider-Man fighting Venom, Alex Ross cover, boom. Marvel can't help themselves with the mashups, so if you like this Phoenix variant, go ahead and get it. There's a Stegman 1 in 25 variant, which looks very good as well, but it's selling for about $40 on eBay. You know me, I never recommend going this high on variants that just came out. Next up is Deadpool, issue number 290, and you can see they're using gimmicks to try to sell the book, but Deadpool is so wacky, you don't know what to believe. Just enjoy the read. Next up is The Punisher, issue 219, and this is part 2 of War Machine, because obviously he's wearing the War Machine type of armor. Can you imagine someone who's watching a Netflix show just trying to get back into comics picks up Punisher again for the first time and sees this? They're not going to have any idea what the hell is going on. Next up is Miss Marvel in her 8th trade paperback. This collects issues number 19 through 24 from 2015. The Kamala Khan character reads very well in the trade format. She's the closest thing you're going to get to a modern day Ditko Spider-Man, a teenager who's just learned how to use her powers and trying to juggle the bad guys versus a family life with an optimistic sense of humor. Next up is Star Wars number 40, and I like this commanding image of Princess Leia. The 40th anniversary variant is drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson. This artist has made a name for himself as the creator, artist, and writer of Extremity, a new hit comic from Image that has critical and commercial acclaim. He was just a regular guy that got discovered at a Comic-Con by Image exec. Now look where he's at. He's drawing for Star Wars. It doesn't get any better than that. Next up is Weapon X number 12. This is part 1 of the Nuclear War Part 1, where Old Man Logan and his team must stop a mutant genocide on a third world country. As you guys know, I wasn't that much of a fan of the Hulk-Verring storyline, so I'm glad to see him get back to something more sensible for the mutant universe. And this Lynn variant looks really good. Speaking of mutants, Marvel is going full tilt on Jean Grey, aka Phoenix, aka the Dark Phoenix. Here's some cosplay of what this character looks like. There's so many different versions you can do of the character. Fox gave us this first look on Entertainment Weekly at what the Dark Phoenix is going to look like in live action. In terms of the comics, they're going all out on these $1 reprints, including the Phoenix Bizarre Adventures, which is a reprint of Bizarre Adventures number 27. There's also going to be Phoenix Classic, which is going to be reprinting Classic X-Men number 13 and 18. And then there's Phoenix Returns, which is a reprint of Fantastic Four number 286. That's a lot of the Phoenix, but I'll take it for $1. Issue number 10 of her ongoing series also drops this week. It's part 3 of the Psych War. Next up is our report on independent comics and small publishers. First up is Toyetica, which is going to trade paperback from Action Lab. It's a story of a race of small human-like beings that make money on the side modeling for kids' toys for humans. It's not for everybody, but if you like oddball stuff like ElfQuest, then this is for you. Speaking of oddball, up next is Monstra Mechanica number 1, and this is from Aftershock Comics. It's literally the story of Leonardo da Vinci, his female apprentice, and a wooden robot. It's the height of the Renaissance, and factions are fighting over Leonardo da Vinci's advanced arsenal of weapons. That's a pretty strange storyline, but I definitely like this cover. Next up is Judas, number 1 of a 4-part miniseries from Boom Studios. This isn't a code name, this is actually a miniseries about the biblical Judas. Needless to say, he's been a controversial figure for the last 2,000 years. So why not a comic? Why not? Also from Boom Studios is Grass Kings number 10. This is the story of 3 brothers that run a trailer park, sort of like a kingdom. It's created and written by Matt Kent, who's the writer and creator of Divinity. Matt is on my list of one of the top 20 writers in comics. It shows he can do top flight science fiction, and he can also do a non-superhero human story like Grass Kings. Next up is Giants number 1 from Dark Horse Comics. It's the story of a new world that's ruled by giants, and it's pushed humanity underground. But a resistance is going to be started by 2 orphans. Next up is Lady Killer Volume 2 trade paperback on Dark Horse. This is an absolute favorite of mine. It's the story of Josie Schuler, who's a housewife by day and a hit woman by night. The writer and artist is a woman, Joelle Jones, who's currently drawing Batman right now. And she too made my list of one of the top 10 females in comics. Lady Killer number 1, Volume 1 made my list of one of the top 10 comics of 2015, and Lady Killer Volume 2 number 1 also made my list of the top 10 comics of 2016. This is a collection of all 5 issues from Volume 2. This is a must-have. Next up is Skin and Earth number 6 of a 6-part miniseries. So this is the finale from Dynamite Entertainment. It's a story of a woman surviving in a post-apocalyptic world. I can never seem to say apocalyptic right twice, so don't pick on me if I mispronounce it. If you missed out on this, pick up the trade paperback when it comes out later. Next up, let's see what Image is up to, and they're aging like a fine wine. They only get better with time. First up is Bitch Planet triple feature, which is going to trade paperback, which is going to collect the first 5 issues of this anthology spinoff from the main Bitch Planet series. It's some of the best in satire. It's about a dystopian future where men run everything and women who get out of line are sent to an off-planet prison called Bitch Planet. It sounds exploitive, but it's actually created and written by a woman, Kelly Sue DeConnick, who's the wife of Matt Fraction from Sex Criminals fame. Matt actually shows up and writes a short story in this as well. Next up is Descender Deluxe Edition Volume 1. This is going to collect the first 16 issues of this Eisner Award-winning science fiction epic in a deluxe hardcover edition. Yes, the price is $50, but it's worth every penny. This is one of the best things that's been created since Star Wars in terms of epic scale. Next up is Maestros number 3, and this is some of the most detailed art you're going to find in comics. It's written and drawn by Steve Scorse, who made a name for himself again with We Stand on Guard with Brian K. Vaughan in 2015. This series seems to be finding an audience because issue number 2 is going to a second print, just like issue number 1 did. Next up is Port of Earth #2, and this is a sci-fi series in which aliens have came to Earth, but they're not trying to take over or make us their slaves. They're here to negotiate a business deal, actually, by turning the Earth into a space portal. But come on, if aliens look like this, can you really trust them? Next up is the speculation pick of the week. And that's going to be Coyotes #2. And the first thing you can tell is that this is going to be bloody, gory, and the art is fantastic. To explain what's going on here, we have to talk about issue #1 again, which is going to a second print this week, by the way. It's based on a girl named Red, a ultra-violent assassin who's protecting women against some mutant coyotes. The story is being told through the eyes of a detective named Officer Coffee, who's trying to figure out what's going on and piece it together. So Officer Coffee basically is a proxy for the reader who's trying to figure out what's going on in this world. I like what's going on here, and the art is absolutely stunning, so I would recommend you try this out. There's a few more things to talk about before we go, such as Robotech #5 from Titan Publishing. This is another incarnation of the 1980s cartoon that came over to America. The one I'm going to pick up is going to be the cosplay hologram variant. That looks spectacular. I was one of those kids watching the cartoon. I'm a big fan of the property. I love the art and the direction in the comic. Next up is Under #1 of a 2-part miniseries from Titan Publishing as well. If you like big monsters fighting, then this is for you. Next up is Bloodshot Salvation #4 from Valiant Comics. They have some of the highest quality in comics. The writing, the art, even the paper stock is superior over most comics. We got introduced to this new villain called Rampage in issue #1. We're finally going to get his origin of where he came from in this issue. Based on his design, it appears he does come out of the Bloodshot program, but we don't know exactly when he was created and the full extent of his power. But this guy seems to be unkillable, and he seems to be a real threat for Bloodshot and his daughter Jessie. They just can't shake this guy. He just keeps coming like Freddy and Jason. You know the drill. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, give it a thumbs up, and share these videos on social media so others learn about Comic Power. That's about it for today. Thank you for watching Wicked Wednesday, where I review all the new comic books for a new comic day. Be sure to follow my blog at comicpower.net. On social media, follow me at facebook.com/comicpower.net and comicpower-universe.tumblr.com. And don't forget twitter.com/comicpowersub. I also sell comics on eBay at this link. This is Comic Killer 72 for Comic Power saying bye-bye. And don't forget to share this video, click on subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and tell everyone you know about this channel to help it grow. Thank you for your support.